Hello, everyone. I'm Major Garrett in Washington. We are following breaking news out of New York City. The jury in the Sean Diddy Combs racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking trial has reached a verdict on 4 of the 5 counts. The jury very recently has told the court it is unable to come to a consensus on count 1, that being racketeering conspiracy. I want to bring in our Jericka Duncan, who has been following this case from CBS News from its inception. Jericka, as you well know, this is a high-impact, high-visibility story. Lots of people probably got phone messages alerting them to this news. Reset the clock for those just maybe tuning in. What has transpired in the last hour?
In the last hour, we've seen Sean Combs' children arrive in 2 sprinters. They just went inside the federal courthouse there. His mother was there earlier today, and about an hour ago, I remember seeing a couple of the defense attorneys running inside. So it was clear that there was an update. And throughout this, we've been receiving notes. But this particular note read, according to our reporter that's inside, quote, "We have reached a verdict on counts 2, 3, 4, 5. Unable on count 1, they said, have jurors with unpersuadable opinions." So what are counts 2, 3, 4, and 5? Those have to do with the sex trafficking and transportation for the purpose of prostitution. They involve Cassie Ventura, an ex-girlfriend of Combs, as well as Jane, another person who testified under that pseudonym, also an ex-girlfriend of Sean Combs. That racketeering conspiracy, though, that is the most serious charge, and it's complicated. There are 8 criminal elements. The jurors only have to prove that 2 of them, or feel that 2 of them have been proven, in order for him to be found guilty on that racketeering conspiracy, as well as believing that Combs led a criminal enterprise for his sexual desires. So even when you take a look at this verdict sheet, for instance, Major, there's the racketeering conspiracy, and then there's the not guilty, guilty. And under that, each juror would tell us, the public, the court, if they believe, for instance, acts involving kidnapping, that Combs was involved in that, whether that was proved or not proved, or acts involving arson, or acts involving bribery. So we knew that that one might be something that these jurors could possibly be deliberating on for quite some time, or in this case, have jurors, according to this note, that have unpersuadable opinions. But what we're hearing again right now, that the jurors have reached a verdict. We don't know what that verdict is, though, on counts 2, 3, 4, and 5.
And Jericka, just to get a sense of things, and I know this is evolving literally by the moment, do you have any sense, based on what you've heard from the courtroom, how this will play out this afternoon? Might it continue in tomorrow? Might the judge tell the jury, I want you to try a little harder, spend a little bit more time on count 1? Or is there any expectation we might have the verdicts for those other counts you mentioned actually read out today?
It appears the prosecution and the defense would like the jurors to deliberate a little bit longer. Remember, they just got this case yesterday at about 11:40 in the morning. So they haven't been deliberating that long. And the judge appears to be moving in that direction. The last note that I saw said that they were looking at possible proposals, but it does appear that they were moving in the direction of wanting these jurors to deliberate a little bit longer on that count 1 racketeering conspiracy. There is a chance, though, they could stay a little bit longer tonight, because early on, the judge said during his instructions, listen, the court closes at 5, but if you all feel that you want to go a little bit later, let us know, and we might make that accommodation. So perhaps we're in that space of maybe they deliberate a little bit longer, maybe they deliberate until 7 o'clock this evening. We don't know, but that was always an option that the judge set out during his jury instructions yesterday.
Jericka, you've covered this case extensively, and that is putting it mildly. Remind our audience the central arguments made by the prosecutors and the defense counsel representing Sean Diddy Combs.
The government essentially said that Sean Combs led a criminal enterprise for his sexual desires, that he tried to cover up crimes, that he was the leader of this criminal enterprise, and that he committed at least 2 that they believe of these elements that are part of the racketeering conspiracy. In fact, I can't even say at least 2. They believe that he committed all of them, but they only need 2 from the jurors, as I mentioned before. The defense, though, in their closing arguments said that there were 2 trials that were going on here. One that had to do with witnesses that they believe were not being truthful, and the other one had to do with evidence. And they asked the court, look at the evidence. Look at what those text messages were from Cassie Ventura, from Jane, where they appeared to be willing participants. But the government reminded the jurors that even if you've seen 100 of those text messages where it looks like they are willing participants, you only need to find one time, for instance, with sex trafficking, that they were forced or there was fraud or coercion. So it's very broad when you look at this case as a whole, and a number of legal experts that I've spoken to have talked about that openly, especially when it comes to racketeering, conspiracy. But simply put, the defense said that this was a case that was overcharged, and they thought it had to do more with personal drug use and threesomes, not racketeering, they argued in their closing arguments last week.
Jericka, as I mentioned, this is an evolving situation. I want you to please stay with us in case there are any other developments, which I know you will convey to us as soon as they arrive. In the meantime, I want to bring in CBS News legal contributor Caroline Polisi, who joins me now for some analysis. Caroline, for the audience who may not be accustomed to this process of a partial verdict, is that rare or somewhat common? And in a case like this, to Jericka's last point, for the jury, it seems to come down to, were those involved in any way cooperative, or were they clearly and evidentially coerced into participating in the things that the government alleged Sean Diddy Combs was involved in?
Yeah, to the first part, it is pretty rare, although it gets less rare the more charges that the jury has to deliberate on, right? So this is not just a one count indictment. This is a 5-count indictment. And as Jericka noted, the RICO charge is quite complicated. There was, a lot of information about just the law of RICO for the jurors to digest. So it doesn't surprise me that that's the one they're potentially hung up on. I would note they have not yet reached a partial verdict. They have told the judge that they have come to an agreement on those remaining four, or the last four charges, but that they're sort of deadlocked on that first charge. I would be completely shocked if the judge this time around said, okay, we're going to take those verdicts on 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we're going to declare a mistrial on count 1. Typically what happens in this situation is the judge will provide what's known as a dynamite charge. It's called an Allen charge, meant to sort of light a fire under the jury to say, go back one more time, do your civic duty, try your hardest, see if you can, amicably come to a conclusion with a robust exchange of ideas. Nobody is saying that, we want to coerce a verdict here, but we want you to talk to each other and think about the evidence and see if you can really, with integrity, come to unanimous verdict with respect to that first charge. Now, with respect to your second question, it seems they have come to an agreement with the sex trafficking charges and the transportation to engage in prostitution. I would note that both of those charges and all four of those charges are predicate crimes to the first RICO charge. And so if they find that he has been, if they find him guilty of 2 of those 4 charges, those are the predicate crimes for RICO. But RICO has this additional element. It's a conspiracy, first of all. So we need another co-conspirator. And remember, the government didn't charge a co-conspirator in this case. They alluded to the co-conspirator being his chief of staff, a rotating cast of bodyguards. But they needed to show that there was an agreement, that the organization knew what it was doing, that it was an enterprise, not in law, but in fact, that people understood the object of the enterprise, which was to promote Sean Combs and his brands and sort of fulfill any deviant sexual desires he may have had, and then to cover up any crimes committed over the course of fulfilling those sexual desires. And so you do need to buy in a little bit more to a more structured, planned, again, RICO, you think mafia, mob, organized crime, drug rings, things of that nature. So this is sort of a novel interpretation of the RICO charge, although it's being used more and more. So this is interesting on both sides. It's clearly the jury was not buying whole cloth what the government was selling.
And Caroline, to make it clear to our audience, the jury has notified the court it has reached a verdict. We do not know what that verdict is, guilty or not guilty. We know its pendency is before the court, but unresolved is count 1, and it is, if I heard you correctly, your expectation, based on lots of experience, that the judge will say, go back and try some more?
Yeah, I think look, the best outcome for all parties involved is not to have a hung jury on that one count. It is acceptable under the law. But again, you see this oftentimes. You will see this, and sometimes judges will give 2 and 3 instructions to go back. Now it's complicated because it raises issues on appeal, right? You never want a coerced verdict, and so typically judges land somewhere in the 1 to 2 recharges or Allen charges, telling them, really work hard. But the language of this note was interesting. It did indicate a complete sort of blockage, a complete standstill, that, they weren't going to move. They often will say that, and then sometimes they do come to an agreement. Sometimes they don't. So it very likely could be that the outcome of this trial does result in a hung jury, a mistrial on that first RICO charge. And at that point, the government could decide, based on how those other 4 charges play out, they could potentially retry that case because it hasn't reached a verdict and it wouldn't violate double jeopardy standards. But those remaining 4 charges, I would note, the sex trafficking charges are hefty charges. If they win on the sex trafficking charges, that's essentially a win for the prosecution. Those carry with them each a mandatory minimum of 15 years in prison. So if he's found guilty on both, that's 30 years in prison. The transportation to engage in prostitution is sort of a lesser burden and indeed a lesser penalty. I think if he's found guilty only of those 2, the prosecution would consider that a real loss. And then with this RICO charge, it's the top charge, carries with it the possibility, a maximum sentence of life in prison, depending on how the guidelines play out with respect to this particular defendant. But there's a lot of different ways this could play out at this point, a lot of known unknowns, as it were.
Caroline Polisi, thank you so much for that perspective, especially on the charges and if guilty verdicts are brought, the implications for Sean Diddy Combs. I want to bring back Jericka Duncan, who's there at the courthouse with any latest of the developments, as well as a sort of summary of this very busy afternoon. Jericka?
Yeah, I'm just getting a note, Major, and it says at the end of it, because it's kind of long, I'm trying to parse through it all, but that the judge could inform the jury if it deliberates, we persist, they would come back Monday, July 7th. And then it says, I can tell them if they agree July 3rd and make accommodations, but that does pose logistical issues. Which way do parties want to go? Government says give them the option to deliberate on the 3rd. And then defense says they need a minute. So this is happening in real time. But I think all of this means that the judge is moving in that direction of saying, listen, you guys have been deliberating, 12, 13 hours. Let's go a little bit longer to see if you guys can reach a verdict on that count 1.
This is playing out, as Jericka just noted, in real time. It is incremental. The judge is wrestling with the various equities involved, with the jury coming back to it with verdicts on 2 of the 5 charges, not on count 1. That's our recap. This jury in the Sean Diddy Combs trial in New York City has reached a partial verdict. Let me reset that on 4 of the 5 counts. The jury has informed the judge it is unable at present to reach a decision on count 1. That charge is a racketeering charge.